Hey there, and welcome to Light Novel Sound, where I bring stories to life through voice. Today, we'll embark on a journey into the world of Astral Pet Store by Ancient She. And if you'd like to read along, you can find the original novel at lightnovelworld.co. So, what's not to love about transmigrating into a world full of pets? There are mighty creatures of all shapes and sizes, some cuddly, some fierce, and some, both. And I've even got my own pet store to run. Sounds great, right? Well, not exactly. My younger sister can't stand me. I've got zero talent for handling astral pets. And don't even get me started on the bizarre system I'm stuck with. But hey, it wouldn't be a proper transmigration without a few ridiculous challenges, right? Before we jump in, a huge thank you to Ancient She for creating this incredible story. And if you enjoy the audiobook, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps support the channel and keeps these stories alive in the YouTube world. Alright, let's dive into Astral Pet Store. Chapter 431, One Punch to End It All. Roar! The carriage shook suddenly, and a sharp claw appeared outside the crack, constantly smashing the roof, and the claws were extremely sharp and long. That was another beast, an 8th-rank cutter lizard. The cutter lizard was a beast of the stone family that lived underground. With its sharp claws, a cutter lizard could even crush diamonds with ease. The cabin was about to be ripped apart, even after being built with a special alloy, which in fact startled Ji Zhantang. He commanded one of his battle pets of the element family to stay with his granddaughter. The team leader had promised him that he would protect Ji Chuyu, but he was still worried. Following that, Ji Zhantang summoned 3 more battle pets. He ordered the pet that was a subspecies of the dragon family, the Thunderhorn dragon, to summon bolts of lightning. He planned to push the beasts outside the cabin first. Boom! A ball of lightning came into being in the air and the dragon smashed the claws appearing near the crack with the ball of lightning. Struck by lightning, the beast retracted its claws and let out low but angry bellows. Again, the beast smashed the cabin. The walls and roof began to sink in. Due to the strong impact, people inside the cabin were having a hard time standing up. But the attendants were helping them so no one was injured. You, come here. Ji Chuyu stood right next to her grandpa's 8th-rank battle pet. In this chaos, she noticed that Su Ping was standing in the distance all by himself. She was angry that Su Ping was ungrateful, but in this critical moment, she couldn't allow herself to see him in danger. Surprised by the call, Su Ping turned around and looked at her. He found it strange that the girl would be anxious and mad at him, but he was not in the mood to find out. As he stared at the beasts that were attacking more and more ferociously, Su Ping made up his mind. Bang! All of a sudden, a wall was torn apart. The things that pierced the wall were some frightening black tentacles. Su Ping saw the opening and then jumped outside right through the tear. You! Ji Chuyu witnessed that. She turned pale. In the distance, the old man in the black suit saw that as well. But he was sneering and gloating. How stupid the young man was to run outside from the tear. The safest place was inside. The young man must think that the beasts wouldn't notice him if he ran out in the chaos. But usually, the first to run in panic was the first to be killed. Whoosh! Su Ping ran out from the tear and flew up to the roof of the carriage. The underground tunnel was spacious enough to allow more than one train to travel at the same time. Several huge beasts with a length of over a dozen meters were crawling on the adjacent railroads. Some of the beasts were like centipedes, and some were like beetles. The lava python that was spitting lava into the carriage was hanging down from the roof. Each of the lava python's scales was the size of a palm. The 8th-rank cutter lizard was on the roof as well and was attacking through the tear, standing opposite Ji Zhantang. Roar! Su Ping heard a bellow. He turned around. It was an 8th-rank sickle beetle which looked quite like a huge turtle. But the soft tentacles reaching out from its shell had sharp edges. The beast could inflict great harm with them. Rot in hell! A glint of coldness rose in his eyes. The moment the sickle beetle came at him, he punched straight at it. He didn't use the Fist of Exorcist because he worried that the move would make the tunnel collapse, which could then bury the train. Even without the fist of Exorcist, he could kill a titled rank beast with his bare hands since he had attained the first level of the solar bulwark. Many tentacles that were as thick as barrels came over, but they were all crushed into pieces by Su Ping's punch. Those tentacles didn't stop him. He landed a heavy punch on the head of the sickle beetle. PFF. The sickle beetle came to a sudden stop. In its blood-red eyes, the sickle beetle was showing its disbelief. The next second, the sickle beetle exploded. The impact was so violent that it was as if tons of explosives were hiding inside the beast. Su Ping punched the sickle beetle into pieces. Its internal organs were flung to the walls and blood poured down. He killed the sickle beetle with a single punch. Su Ping turned around and furiously stared at the other beasts that were creating the disturbance. He quickly strode toward them. Roar! Right then, the cabin he was standing on was broken into two parts. Ji Zhantang dashed out. He was sitting on the Thunderhorn Dragon, his major pet. The Thunderhorn Dragon was covered with electric arcs that had formed a layer of armor. The armor was also extended to Ji Zhantang. He and his pet were one. What? Ji Zhantang was stunned to see that Su Ping was still here and alive. But this was not the time to think. Go back. I will stop them, he immediately shouted to Su Ping. With that said, he turned around and began to give orders to another battle pet of the Stone family. Bang! A hole appeared on the wall of the tunnel. The pet of the Stone family had created another passageway. I will distract them. Ji Zhantang shouted. Under his legs, the Thunderhorn Dragon suddenly generated many bolts of lightning that struck the beasts. After he successfully provoked the beasts, Ji Zhantang patted the Thunderhorn Dragon's head. His pet dashed toward the passageway, trying to lure the beasts away. Noticing his intention, Su Ping summoned his purple python at once. He wanted to finish the beasts as soon as possible. If all of them chased after Ji Zhantang, his battle pets might not be able to protect him. Hiss! The purple python came out from the swirl. The huge purple python that was over 30 meters long fell onto the roof, and due to its weight, the roof had caved in a bit. The ones in the cabin were unable to see what was going on outside. They could only sense the vibrations and the incoming coldness. Even the average people could perceive the smell of blood seeping in from the crack in the cabin. They could tell that some beast was moving about on the roof. The old man in the suit was frightened. He could tell that a huge one had arrived. Protect our young lady, he said to the other two advanced battle pet warriors at once. Although nervous, the two promised to do so. The old man in the suit dashed out from the tear. In the meantime, on the roof, the purple python had begun to chase after the lava python. Although both were of the python family, the lava python had a better bloodline than the purple python. After all, the lava python was an 8th rank beast. The lava python was unsettled that it could sense the presence of something of the same kind, and something that seemed a bit intimidating. The lava python gave up on going after Ji Zhantang. The lava python turned around, erected the upper half of its body, and hissed at the purple python. The purple python felt nothing. It had encountered too many beasts of the legendary rank, not to mention a beast that was merely 2 ranks higher. The purple python could simply ignore this level of threat. Whoosh! The purple python wiggled quickly toward the lava python. The lava python launched an attack and breathed out a highly destructive fire. Other 8th rank beasts would usually want to avoid this fire because the burns would be hard to heal. However, the purple python just threw itself into the sea of fire head-on. The next second, the purple python had gone through the fire. Unharmed. Hiss! There was some coldness flickering in the purple python's green eyes. The purple python opened its huge mouth and bit the lava python's head. The purple python tumbled around, its mouth was full, but it still managed to let out a roar. The struggling lava python stopped. Then, the purple python swallowed the lava python bit by bit. The lava python was at the 8th rank but was merely a dozen meters long, much shorter than the purple python which was still growing up. The old man in the black suit had just come out from the cabin when, to his shock, he witnessed how the purple python swallowed the lava python. As the other beasts sensed the formidable purple python, they came to a stop, letting the old man who was striking them escape. Alerted, the beasts glared at the purple python. The beasts gradually began to move in closer. But they didn't leave. Su Ping watched as the beasts did so. Ji Zhantang had returned from the passageway. He was surprised to find that no beast was going after him, so he had to return. Soon, he noticed the huge purple python that was curling up on the roof. He had left for just a second and there was another one? Was that even a purple python? Ji Zhantang had extensive knowledge about pets. He had seen purple pythons before. Those were pets that had weak combat strength and were unable to master any elemental powers. But the purple pythons were cheap, so that was the poor man's choice of pet. But this purple python seemed unusual. Usually, at the peak of the 6th rank, a purple python would be about a dozen meters long. This one was more than 30 meters long. 2 times as large as the usual purple pythons. He noticed a red tail in the purple python's mouth. Surprised, he looked around, only to see the lava python was gone. The tail. Did the purple python just eat up that lava python? Cannibalism? Ji Zhantang couldn't understand this. All of a sudden, the ground began to shake. The stone walls cracked. As a ferocious cry reached their ears, a black beast that was about 20 meters long crawled out. The beast was like a python, but it was covered in sharp blades and a spike on its back. Both Ji Zhantang and the old man in the suit gasped in fear. That was a 9th rank poison claw dragon. A subspecies of dragons. Subspecies of dragons had bloodlines of dragons. Even though beasts such as these were less powerful than dragons, they were much stronger than beasts of the element family of the same rank. Chapter 432, Demonstration of Power. Damn it! The old man in the suit pulled a long face. The poison claw dragon could use venom, and this one was at the 9th rank. The train being under attack by such a powerful beast was an extra serious accident. The probability of this happening was low. How unfortunate would he have to be to get involved in this accident? Ji Zhantang's face was also clouded. Not even he could claim that he could top this poison claw dragon, not to mention when 2 other 8th rank beasts were eyeing him viciously. While the 2 of them were thinking, Su Ping just darted a casual glance to the poison claw dragon before he gave an order to the purple python. Finish it! With this single command, the purple python turned around. Having eaten up the lava python, the purple python was 1 time larger than before. The weight gain had slowed the purple python down a bit, but that didn't stop it from moving rapidly toward the poison claw dragon. Neither Ji Zhantang nor the old man in the suit could believe this. A pet of the 6th rank was targeting a beast of the 9th rank? Roar! The poison claw dragon could sense the purple python's intention. Angered, the poison claw dragon roared violently. The roar was like that of a dragon's, but at the same time, there was a freakish feeling about it that could make people's blood freeze. Woo! In the distance, the thunderhorn dragon, which was almost on its knees, had begun to tremble, and the armor that had been formed out of bolts of lightning seemed to have started collapsing. Also a member of a subspecies of dragons, the thunderhorn dragon was quite sensitive to dragon roars and could be even more afraid of dragon roars than the other beasts. Ji Zhantang was startled. He hurried to comfort his battle pet. At the same time, while swearing inside, the old man in the suit summoned his battle pets as well. The 4 were all at the 8th rank, 1 of the demon family, 1 from a subspecies of dragons, and 2 of the element family. The old man in the suit had the dragon add a layer of armor over himself, and stay close to protect him. The other 2 battle pets of the element family were told to go back to the cabin to guard that spoiled girl. As for the demon pet, he wanted to use that to work with Ji Zhantang to stop that poison claw dragon. As long as they could stall the poison claw dragon, they could at least survive until reinforcements arrived. All of a sudden, the old man in the suit noticed that young man who was standing in the distance with his back to him. He put on a cold sneer. Whoosh! The netherworld corpse snake hissed and dashed away, as if heading toward the poison claw dragon. Well? Su Ping looked back at the netherworld corpse snake that was headed his way. He had a keen sense. He could tell that the battle pet was coming at him. He looked past the netherworld corpse snake and noticed the sneer in the eyes of the old man in the suit. Killing intent surged in Su Ping. He didn't move away, but he was clenching his hand into a fist. The netherworld corpse snake didn't even try to move to the side. It was as if the netherworld corpse snake were completely unable to see him. But the moment that the netherworld corpse snake was about to crush Su Ping, something instinctual told it to take a look downward. With this look, the netherworld corpse snake cried in fear and tried to stop. It had seen a pair of eyes that should belong to a monster. Danger! Danger! Bang! Su Ping waved his fist. A loud noise was heard. At the same time, Su Ping had punched the netherworld corpse snake's stomach. Along with this terrible noise, the netherworld corpse snake was smashed into a wall, and then its internal organs began to swell. The netherworld corpse snake exploded. Flesh and blood rained down. Since Su Ping had set up an astral power shield, no blood fell on him. Looking past that heavy veil of blood, Su Ping managed to establish eye contact with the old man in the suit. The sneer froze on his face. The old man in the suit stared at the rain of blood, dumbstruck. The coldness in Su Ping's eyes yanked him back to his senses. He could not believe this. He felt frightened, as he had felt before. This young man is a monster. Whoosh! While the old man in the suit was standing there, appalled, Su Ping had dashed over. He kicked back on the roof so forcefully that a dent appeared. Like an arrow discharged, Su Ping approached the old man in the suit and punched at his head. Bang! The old man in the suit built up many astral power shields, but all of them were crushed under Su Ping's punch. The old man in the suit witnessed how all the armors fell into pieces before his head and upper body was smashed into pieces. The dragon that was staying with the old man in the suit didn't even have enough time to react. The miserable death of its master told the dragon what had happened. There was still some remnant emotional connection maintained by the contract. Out of instinct, the dragon cried and was about to avenge its master. But Su Ping turned around and looked at the dragon. That pair of eyes devoid of all feeling made the dragon's blood freeze. The angry cry was stuck in the dragon's throat, and the pet was unable to move even one bit. Nove. Soon, the last trace of the contract disappeared. The dragon seemed confused. Why was I here? Where am I? What am I? What monster is this? Having deterred the dragon, Su Ping did not go on and kill it. The battle pet had made no mistake. The only error the dragon had made was to follow the wrong master who was not only too stupid, but also weak. Killing the netherworld corpse snake and the old man in the suit happened all within 1 second. In the distance, Ji Zhantang had heard the noise. He turned around, just in time to see how Su Ping killed the old man in the suit. Astounded, Ji Zhantang opened his eyes wide and let his jaw hang. The old man in the suit died? Killed by the young man with one punch. The old man in the suit was at the 8th rank. Ji Zhantang was unable to utter a single word. He knew that Su Ping was a battle pet warrior, but he had not sensed a strong presence of astral power in him, who was very young. He never regarded Su Ping as some strong battle pet warrior. However, it turned out that this young man had been hiding his power all along. He had killed the old man in the suit with one punch. Whatever the reason, the point was that the young man was a freak. Roar! All of a sudden, Ji Zhantang heard a growl. He turned around, remembering that the poison claw dragon was still there. A cold sweat broke out. He could not believe he had gotten distracted. As he took a look, again, he was dumbfounded. The poison claw dragon was being entangled by the purple python. Strangled, the poison claw dragon was shouting in pain. Ji Zhantang couldn't wrap his head around this. The poison claw dragon was of the 9th rank and should be better than the purple python whether regarding bloodline or cultivation rank. Why would the poison claw dragon cry so miserably? Ji Zhantang wondered if his eyes were fooling him. Then, the poison claw dragon's bones began to crack. Its sharp claws broke and its flesh was torn, spilling out green blood. The poison claw dragon was trying to tear open the purple python, but the latter's scales were as hard as steel. The former was unable to hurt the battle pet. Crack, 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 crack. The noise echoed and lingered in the tunnel. That was brutal. The purple python tightened its hold bit by bit, and gradually, the poison claw dragon couldn't even make a noise. More and more green blood oozed out. Soon enough, the poison claw dragon stopped breathing. Afterward, the purple python bit the dragon's head and then swallowed it up bit by bit. In an instant, the poison claw dragon that was over 20 meters long had lost half of its body. The lava python had already been digested in this short span of time. The purple python's digestive power was stronger than anyone could imagine. The beasts that were at the purple python's rank would disappear immediately if they were in the purple python's stomach. Soon after, the purple python had eaten up the entire poison claw dragon. The huge purple python coiled up on the ground, sticking its tongue out. The pet then cast its sight on the 8th rank beasts in the distance. The 8th rank beasts shuddered. They cried as they turned tail and left. Some of them made holes in the walls, and some snuck deeper underground. In an instant, all of them had disappeared. They were all beasts of the stone family. The underground tunnel to the beasts was like water to fish. Su Ping didn't order the purple python to go after the beasts. There would always be more. Cleaning up the beasts should be the job of the working staff of the train. That was their responsibility. Su Ping told the purple python to return. The purple python soon arrived in front of Su Ping. The purple python dangled its body down to the railway while raising its head. Su Ping patted its head as praise. Ji Zhantang found no words. He didn't know that this incredible purple python was Su Ping's battle pet. This was a battle pet that could strangle a 9th rank poison claw dragon to death. That was to say, this young man had an ability that should be a match to his battle pets. While Ji Zhantang was still standing there, confused, someone came from the end of the tunnel. It was a man who was flying over. A titled battle pet warrior. Chapter 433, Misunderstanding. Whoosh! In an instant, the titled battle pet warrior had arrived. It was a bulky man that seemed to be in his 40s. What? He first took a glance at Ji Zhantang and Su Ping, then focused his gaze on Ji Zhantang. He could tell the old man was an 8th rank master battle pet warrior. Was he a passenger? He nodded to Ji Zhantang. He could tell from the surrounding chaos that the old man must have helped. He also saw a half a human body in the distance. Was he too late? Sir, thank you for helping out. The bulky titled battle pet warrior nodded to Ji Zhantang. There is still a trace of smell from a 9th rank beast. Did it escape? Ji Zhantang didn't answer. He just darted a look at Su Ping. No, the beast didn't escape. It was eaten up by the young man's battle pet. It didn't occur to the bulky titled battle pet warrior that Ji Zhantang would dart a look at Su Ping before answering the question. The titled battle pet warrior also saw the huge purple python, noticing that it was much larger than it should be. But he didn't pay attention because it was just a 6th rank purple python after all, nothing much. The beast has been taken care of, Su Ping said to the titled battle pet warrior who was casually looking his way. Taken care of? The titled battle pet warrior couldn't believe this. He sensed the presence of the 9th rank beast, so he hurried over. It took him merely a few seconds to arrive. How could the 9th rank beast be taken care of? Not even a titled warrior could have done that. Stunned, the bulky titled battle pet warrior glanced over and soon saw the bloodstains on the railway. The blood belonged to the poison claw dragon. That was the 9th rank beast he had noticed. Was the beast injured here? But since there was no corpse to be seen, he believed the beast must have run away. Was it forced away by the old man and the young man working together? When the bulky titled battle pet warrior turned his sight back to Ji Zhantang and Su Ping, he was looking at them with respect. Neither of them was at the 9th rank, and yet they could cooperate to defeat the poison claw dragon, which was proof of their strength. I am Wu Tianming. Thank you for helping. The bulky titled battle pet warrior was sincere. It was not only because of their strength. The fact that the two of them were willing to step out had demonstrated their kindness and courage. Wu Tianming had to respect that. Ji Zhantang waved his hand. He felt extremely flattered to be thanked by a titled battle pet warrior. But Su Ping was not. He just asked, "How is the train doing? Can it continue the journey?" Wu Tianming shook his head. "Hard to say. I am not quite sure. I will come and find you after I defeat all the other damned beasts. Please help to protect this cabin." He finished his words. He cupped his fists to show his appreciation again. Without waiting for Su Ping and Ji Zhantang to reply, the bulky man dashed away to check other places. After the bulky man left, Ji Zhantang turned to Su Ping with a complicated feeling. He hopped off from the Thunderhorn Dragon and forced a bitter smile. "Hey, I didn't know you were so capable. We ended meddling when we shouldn't have, back then in the cabin." Su Ping would be considered powerful even among all 8th rank battle pet warriors. When the red phantom dog was trying to attack him, Su Ping could have subdued the dog easily without Ji Zhantang's granddaughter helping. Su Ping put away the purple python as he replied, "You flatter me, sir. You and your granddaughter are ready to help others for a just cause. I will remember your kindness." Ji Zhantang nodded. Su Ping was free from arrogance and impetuosity. What a kind and powerful young man. He had only heard about such young people studying in the Valiant Academy, but never did he think he would be able to meet such a young man in real life. Su Ping didn't linger outside since all the beasts had been scared away. He and Ji Zhantang went back into the cabin together. The chaos had quieted down. Everyone in the cabin was relieved when Ji Zhantang returned. Ji Chuyu had been worried about her grandpa. She was finally able to relax the moment she saw him. She immediately threw herself to his arms. The others were eyeing the old man with respect. Someone asked, "Sir, are all the beasts outside dead?" The others were looking at him with anticipation. Ji Zhantang looked at the crowd and nodded. Some died, and some ran away. Just now, a titled battle pet warrior came, and he is now helping out other cabins. I believe it will soon pass. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. A titled battle pet warrior had just been there. Just above them. That made many people feel more secure. "You are a true hero, sir," someone said first. "You are our hero. Welcome back, hero." The others followed suit and shouted in excitement. One would only learn how beautiful the world was when they were saved in a disaster. People were born with an evil nature, but they would only remain evil in their daily lives when each of them tried to cheat the other. But in front of a disaster, they all knew that they had to rely on each other. Ji Zhantang was a bit embarrassed. He knew that he hadn't been able to help much. The most violent and cruel poison claw dragon had been killed by Su Ping. It was his battle pet, the strange purple python, the one that drew the beast's attention away from him. Ji Chuyu left her grandpa's arms. The cheers had left her in a good mood. She was proud of her grandpa. Soon, she noticed Su Ping was standing next to her grandpa. Anger and coldness immediately surged from her eyes. Previously, Su Ping had willfully run out the moment he saw that crack on the roof. She had seen it all. How could that non-entity still be alive? How dare you come back? Ji Chuyu snorted. She was straightforward, never having learned to mince her words. Just like with that girl who had allowed her dog to hurt people, Ji Chuyu was not showing any kindness to Su Ping. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. Ji Zhantang was startled. "Shut up. You cannot call him that." Ji Chuyu was surprised that her grandpa would defend Su Ping. At the same time, the others had seen Su Ping as well. They all pulled long faces. "Miss Ji is right. Sir, you didn't have to save this timid person." "Right. I saw how he was the first one to run away." What gives? The first one to run away is always the first one to die, but this punk got lucky. You really should thank the great sir, you know? Ji Zhantang was filled with apprehension upon hearing those words. He was aware of how terrifying the young man was. He could grow to be a titled battle pet warrior in the future. As people were saying more and more rude words, Ji Zhantien raised his hand and hushed everyone. He solemnly explained, "Listen, the man has helped, and that is why the beasts are gone. He is the one who helped kill the leader of the beasts, a 9th-rank beast." He wanted to introduce Su Ping, only to realize that he did not know the latter's name. He could just use a generic name. Ji Zhantang's remarks stunned everyone. Ji Chuyu found it beyond logic. "Grandpa, what did you just say? Did you say that he also helped?" Ji Zhantang forced a smile. "Not just helped. He made great contributions." Ji Chuyu eyed Su Ping with doubt. This guy had run out just to help? Did I misunderstand him? The others sized up Su Ping. None believed that this young man could offer much help in defeating the vicious beasts, not to mention when there was a 9th-rank beast, like Ji Zhantang mentioned. What could the young man do to that kind of beast? Chapter 434, Contributions. Some believed it and some didn't. The latter thought that the old man had just defended Su Ping because he couldn't stand people accusing the young man continuously. Anyways, they stopped accusing Su Ping. They decided to let it go. Su Ping paid no attention to what those people said. Since they had decided not to criticize him anymore, he didn't feel like trying to defend himself, either. He had only meddled because he wanted to save the train from being destroyed by the beasts, which would delay his journey. He didn't help out because of those passengers. "Where is Mr. Huang?" a girl asked nervously. It was the girl who owned the red phantom dog. The girl was worried. She waited there for a long time but saw no trace of her butler. Having no other choice, she had to ask Ji Zhantang and Su Ping. The 2 advanced battle pet warriors staying with her were also concerned. They and Ji Zhantang had a dispute. Without the butler present, Ji Zhantang was not someone they could defeat. Ji Zhantang darted a look at Su Ping. "He's dead," Su Ping answered casually. The girl turned ghastly pale. The 2 bodyguards were astounded. One of them hopped onto the roof of the cabin. Soon, he found the bottom part of the old man's body. The dragon was still there, next to the remains. Although the contract had been broken, the beast could feel something familiar from the remains. It was unwilling to leave. The bodyguard wanted to retrieve the remains, but the dragon bared its fangs. Still, knowing that it was in the humans' world, and there were no other dragons present, the dragon refrained from attacking in an impulse. The dragon grabbed the body, broke the walls, and ran away. The bodyguard watched the dragon leave before he went back to the cabin. He told the girl what he had seen. The girl turned even paler. She bit her lips and glared at Ji Zhantang, who was standing in the distance. She believed that Ji Zhantang and Su Ping had surely plotted something when Su Ping survived, but her butler Huang had died. The old man must have snuck up on her butler. "Miss." The 2 bodyguards stared at the girl nervously, afraid that she would cause some disturbance again. Since the butler was gone, Ji Zhantang was too powerful for them. The girl just bit her teeth and decided to keep silent. The cabin quieted down. No one was in the mood to chat after the attack. They were afraid to chat in case more beasts would be lured there. In the quietness, they could hear the other cabins shake. The shaking came and went. Everyone was concerned. Each tremor would mean that another cabin was under attack and there was a fight going on. Time moved on. Half an hour passed. No more noises were heard in the past 10 minutes. When everyone thought that the beasts were gone, they heard a whooshing sound come from above. Many people were worried. They immediately turned to Ji Zhantang, who was the one who could soothe their minds. Su Ping also noticed the disturbance. He looked up. The whooshing sound stopped. Someone came down from the tear on the roof. It was the bulky titled battle pet warrior whom Su Ping and Ji Zhantang had met, Wu Tianming. The attendants were more than glad to see Wu Tianming. "Nice to meet you, Mountain Breaker." They saluted with respect. The other passengers were surprised to see a man hovering in the air, and the surprise soon transformed into joy. A titled battle pet warrior. "Help us," someone shouted. No beasts attacked them in the past half an hour, but the passengers were still eager to leave both the train and the tunnel, which was dim and humid. They were on the verge of having a mental breakdown. Wu Tianming left his cry for help unanswered. He looked around but didn't see any blood stains or dead bodies, which he did not expect. He cast a glance at Ji Zhantang and Su Ping. "Sir, I was in too much of a hurry and didn't have time to thank you properly," Wu Tianming said to Ji Zhantang. Ji Zhantang waved his hand. "With a greater ability come greater responsibilities. It is our job to protect our people." Wu Tianming became even more admirable to the old man. "I have just asked the conductor." The attack was of a large scale this time. Many 9th rank beasts showed up and many cabins were under attack. "The train is too damaged to keep going. But we've already sent a message to the nearest station. A new train will arrive in about 15 hours. You can change to the new train for free." After a pause, he continued, "Sir, if you're in a hurry, we can arrange some flying pets to fly you to your destination. That is a special treat for you too, as a way to say our thanks." As he spoke, he took another look at Su Ping. The passengers in the cabin looked at each other, relieved and surprised. They couldn't help but shift their focus to Su Ping. Just then, Ji Zhantang had mentioned that the young man had helped, but they didn't believe him. However, the titled battle pet warrior had said so as well. Then it had to be true. They had misunderstood the young man. Someone felt guilty. The young man had run out to help, but they thought he was running away and they accused him of that. How shameful. The attendants also felt embarrassed. They had asked Ji Zhantang to help because he was a master battle pet warrior. But Su Ping, a young man that might even be weaker than they were, was still willing to step out. That courage had shamed them. Ji Chuyu realized she had indeed misjudged Su Ping. She looked at him, only to see that he had remained composed all along. She regretted her accusation. If she were the one helping and was misjudged, she would have also been bitterly disappointed. She hesitated, wondering if she should apologize. At the same time, Su Ping had stepped over. He asked Wu Tianming, "I'm in a hurry to get to the Holy Light Base City. Can you get me there?" Holy Light Base City? Ji Zhantang and Ji Chuyu were surprised. That was also their destination. Wu Tianming nodded. "Sure. I will arrange a flying pet so you'll arrive on time, or even ahead of schedule." Su Ping was happy to hear that. "Good. Sir, how about you?" Wu Tianming asked Ji Zhantang. Ji Zhantang hesitated for a bit. "We are also going to the Holy Light Base City," he answered. "What a coincidence." Wu Tianming nodded. "No problem. Sir, we want to get flying pets as well. We can offer you money." "Sir, I'm from the Sun family of Whale Ocean Base City." The other passengers could not wait to shout about their needs. With what had just happened, no one could say for sure whether the beasts would come back. Everyone wanted to leave that place sooner. Wu Tianming pulled a long face. He snorted and quieted everyone down. "That is just for the two of them. Without them, many of you would have died. Someone else will come and make arrangements for you if you don't want to wait. You can file in the request, but I don't know if your requests will be answered." Frightened by the titled battle pet warrior, the passengers stopped screaming. "Sirs, please take your luggage and come with me." As Wu Tianming turned to Ji Zhantang and Su Ping, he adopted a kinder tone again. "We don't have many belongings." Ji Zhantang took his granddaughter's hand. Su Ping had already placed his bag in the storage space so he could leave at a moment's notice. They were ready to leave. Wu Tianming nodded and flew out from the tear. Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter hopped out from the cabin. So did Su Ping. "Let's go," Wu Tianming said. A power field was cast over Su Ping, Ji Zhantang, and his granddaughter. The power field carried them into the air and flew them out from the tunnel. Su Ping allowed himself to be carried by that power. But Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter were, on the other hand, somewhat nervous. This was the first time that they were in the air without riding on their battle pets. They were moving forward very quickly. The two of them became even more awed by titled battle pet warriors. Even though Ji Zhantang was merely one rank below than the titled realm, the last step was much more difficult. In the tunnel, they had seen many dead beasts, as well as shattered cabins. Some human remains were found in the tunnel as well. The smell was filthy. The smell of blood filled the tunnel. Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter were grieved by the sight of so many dead bodies. As they made their way, none of the four said a word. Soon, they began to slow down. Ahead of them was a vertical tunnel. Wu Tianming took the three of them and flew upward. They arrived at the end shortly and found themselves at the surface level. They were in a desolate place where wild grasses were flourishing. There were huge crowds. People were building up temporary tents for medical uses. The injured were being treated there. A group of people in the distance, close to 30 people. They weren't wearing uniforms. Some of the people were wearing elegant clothes, while others had plain clothes on but appeared to be quite strong. Most of those people were unhurt. They are all from the private cabins, and someone did what you did, stood up, and helped, Wu Tianming said as he landed, slowly putting Su Ping as well as Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter on the ground. Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter looked at them. Most of them were unhurt and there wasn't even a trace of blood on them. It was as if the beast attack had nothing to do with them. Those who had ridden the private cabins were either rich or influential. They were the big potatoes or were related to the big potatoes. Mountain Breaker, who are they? As Wu Tianming landed, a skinny middle-aged man looked at him with a frown. I'm sure that all the people from the private cabins are here. Wu Tianming answered. The three of them boldly went outside to help. Help! The skinny middle-aged man raised his eyebrows. He looked at Ji Zhantang. Being an 8th rank master battle pet warrior, Ji Zhantang indeed could have been of great help. As for the girl that came with him, the skinny middle-aged man understood that she was the old man's family. You three are together. The middle-aged man noticed that Su Ping didn't seem to be that close to the old man and the girl. Ji Zhantang said with respect, we are from the same cabin. The skinny middle-aged man darted a glance at Su Ping and said to Wu Tianming, this elder has helped so he can go. But you should take the young man back. Just now, many people have helped. Don't take just anyone here. We don't have so many lion eagles, you know. It was then that Ji Zhantang understood why the question had been posed. Scared, he looked at Su Ping. Wu Tianming frowned. The two of them worked together and forced back a 9th rank beast. The young man deserves special treatment with a contribution like that. Work together. The skinny middle-aged broke into laughter. Say, what if I found an average person and worked with that man to defeat a 9th rank? Do I have to give him credit as well? For slowing me down? Chapter 435. One punch to cancel all disputes. Wu Tianming pulled a long face. It was just one person. Why the need for an argument? He could tell that the middle-aged man was not targeting Su Ping, but deliberately making things awkward for him. He and the middle-aged man were on bad terms. The latter was just trying to embarrass him in public. If the average man you found dared to stand up in front of a 9th rank beast, I would admire that man for his courage, even if he did nothing else. Wu Tianming retorted. He wasn't there when Su Ping took action. However, Su Ping had the courage to stand with Ji Zhantang. For that reason alone, Wu Tianming held Su Ping in high regard. Ji Zhantang felt embarrassed. He knew exactly what happened. It was him who didn't help. My lords, you have misunderstood. That 9th rank beast. This is not your place to talk. Ji Zhantang swallowed down his words and his face became clouded. The skinny middle-aged man looked at Ji Zhantang from the corner of his eye. The former said to Wu Tianming, courage, right? I don't want to argue with you. Okay, you say he has courage. So, later, when the lion eagle arrives, don't help. I will let him travel with us if he has the courage and guts to climb onto the back of the lion eagle by himself. Wu Tianming couldn't believe that. Roar! Right then, a roar was heard from the far-off horizon. The roar was a mix of a lion and a beast, a loud call that was awfully penetrating. Startled, everyone looked up, only to see many massive figures approaching. As the figures came close, people were able to see that those figures were mountain-like lions that had fierce eyes and long fangs. Those lions were quite hideous looking. The lions had 2 dark purple wings with a span of over a dozen meters long. All of them had been saddled. Bang! 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 As the lion eagles landed, the ground shook and the airstream blew people's hair back. The purple cloud lion eagles. Ji Chuyu felt his heart was racing. There were many types of lion eagles and the weakest of them all was of the 5th rank. But the purple cloud lion eagles were quite formidable. They were of the 8th rank, and rather aggressive. Remembering the skinny middle-aged man's words, Ji Chuyu looked at Su Ping with worry. Let the VIPs get on first. The skinny middle-aged man waved his hand. Someone immediately made a move to contain the lion eagles and invite those who had dressed up nicely, or the ones who appeared to be powerful, to get onto the lion eagles. Each lion eagle carried 5 fixed seats. On the back of the lion eagle's neck was another seat for the master, aka the pilot. The VIPs from the private cabins stepped onto the lion eagles one after the other. Once the seats were taken, a purple cloud lion eagle would fly up to the sky under its master's command. You who have acted heroically can go now, the skinny middle-aged man said. Those who had been standing close by climbed up to the lion eagles' backs. Ji Zhantang, his granddaughter, as well as the other ones who helped in the other cabins got onto one purple cloud lion eagle. Most who had offered to help were advanced battle pet warriors or master battle pet warriors like Ji Zhantang. They weren't afraid of the purple cloud lion eagles, but they trod lightly at the same time, afraid to provoke the short-tempered pet. Grandpa! Su Ping was standing on the ground all by himself. Ji Chuyu was unable to stand that. She yanked her grandpa's sleeve. Ji Zhantang heaved a sigh. He did try to defend Su Ping just then, but the middle-aged man didn't even care about that. True, the old warrior had helped, but as far as the middle-aged titled battle pet warrior was concerned, Ji Zhantang was nothing. And yet, the old man was not that worried about Su Ping. He had witnessed how Su Ping had punched that old man in the suit to death. Ji Zhantang was not sure if it had been a sneak attack, but he knew that the young man was not a weak one. The purple cloud lion eagles could scare the average advanced battle pet warriors, but not Su Ping. Don't worry, he'll be fine. He's much more powerful than you think, Ji Zhantang whispered to comfort his granddaughter. Ji Chuyu tried to say something else when she felt a strong shake. The purple cloud lion eagle that they were sitting on had flapped its wings and soared to great heights. In an instant, she couldn't even see the people standing on the ground at all. The last one. The skinny middle-aged man looked at Wu Tianming and cast a glance at Su Ping. Don't say that I never gave you a chance. Go. Tianming said you dared to face a 9th-rank beast. Show that to me. Wu Tianming glared at the middle-aged man and whispered to Su Ping, just go and don't worry about anything. I will protect you if the lion eagle attacks you. He said that to Su Ping to help him feel secure. After all, fear often came from the worry of danger. Su Ping didn't do anything. He asked the skinny middle-aged man, who the hell are you? Why do I have to show anything to you? The skinny middle-aged couldn't believe what he had just heard. Wu Tianming was also surprised. He never imagined that Su Ping could be that bold. Punk, what did you just say? The skinny middle-aged came back to his senses. In a fit of rage, he mobilized his astral powers, trying to threaten Su Ping. Wu Tianming rose to the occasion. He set up a layer of astral power shield over Su Ping to protect him from the overwhelming stress. Enough! Do you want to beat him up? The skinny middle-aged man glared at him. I, a titled battle pet warrior, shall not be humiliated like this. He won't leave this place alive today. Wu Tianming didn't step away. He knew that Su Ping had acted rudely, and he had offended a titled battle pet warrior. At the same time, he was more than glad to hear those words. You won't hurt him as long as I'm still here. Wu Tianming was not going to give the slightest concession. Wu Tianming, what do you mean? He has insulted me and yet you're defending him. Are you trying to make yourself my enemy? The skinny middle-aged man stared at Wu Tianming. Wu Tianming sneered. It was not like this was the first day we've had a disagreement and everyone knew it. So what? Why do you have to be so competitive with such a young man when you're a titled battle pet warrior? Even I feel ashamed for you. Did you not hear his insult? No. That answer pissed the skinny middle-aged man off. He darted a look at Su Ping, who was standing behind Wu Tianming, then he bit his teeth and took a deep breath. Fine. I will stop. Let him climb up to the lion eagle. But we have to make a deal. You cannot blame me if he cannot. Wu Tianming sneered at him. Good luck. Don't worry. I've got you. He turned around and encouraged Su Ping. Su Ping squinted his eyes. The skinny middle-aged man had said nicer words, but he could tell that the latter was even more determined to end his life. Still, he was not in the mood to waste time on a contention of mouth and tongue. He turned around and looked at the huge lion eagle. Su Ping kicked to propel himself off the ground and hopped onto the lion eagle's back. The lion eagle snorted unhappily as Su Ping jumped up. The others would always climb up its wings carefully, and this man had jumped up so rudely. While the lion eagle was processing its anger, a sharp pain came through from the end of its tail. The tail was its weakest part, and such a pain was the easiest way to provoke the lion eagle. Roar! The purple cloud lion eagle's eyes reddened. The lion eagle was even more pissed at the human being and wanted to destroy him. While the lion eagle was about to resort to action, all of a sudden, it looked into his eyes, a pair of freezing eyes. There seemed to be demons lurking in that pair of eyes. The demons were wicked and ferocious. That look had poured cold water over the fury in the lion eagle's heart. The pet's eyes cleared up. The lion eagle trembled as it stared at the young man, and could not help but collapse on the ground. The beast placed its wings over its head, curled up, and quivered. That reaction came as a surprise to everyone. A second before, the lion eagle was angry, but the next second, it had become frightened, trembling like a quail. Su Ping had sat down. Of the 5 seats on the back of the lion eagle, 4 had been taken. The 4 people who were already there were astounded by what had just gone down. Su Ping darted a look at the empty seat. Instead of sitting down, he turned around, furiously. What? The skinny middle-aged man was stunned after seeing how the purple cloud lion eagle was shuddering in fear. Just then, he had secretly provoked the lion eagle, which should have been full of wrath instead of fear. Besides, the lion eagle was angry in the beginning. Why did it suddenly feel scared? Lion eagles were supposed to be aggressive beasts. He felt a sense of fatal danger while he was trying to figure that out. He looked up and saw the young man standing on the back of the lion eagle. He was surprised by the young man who was directing killing intent at him. That kid wants to kill me? How strange. The middle-aged man couldn't even decide whether he should scold him or laugh at him. Who does this punk think he is? He's just a nobody. You and I didn't have any past disagreements, but you still have deliberately placed obstacles in my way. I won't make things too difficult for you. If you can survive one of my punches, all that happened will be water under the bridge, and I won't make a big fuss about the past. Su Ping crossed his hands behind his back as he stared down at the middle-aged man coldly. He spoke with a calm tone and his voice was clear to everyone. The skinny middle-aged man was not the only one shocked. Wu Tianming, who was still processing his joy after Su Ping climbed to the back of the lion eagle, was also dumbstruck. The other 4 on the lion eagle looked at Su Ping as if he were an idiot. Was this man out of his mind? Who gave him the courage to challenge a titled battle pet warrior? Chapter 436, Quick Fall of a Titled Battle Pet Warrior. You bastard! You're not walking out of here alive. The skinny middle-aged man finally processed Su Ping's words. The man flew into a rage. Su Ping had already stimulated the killing intent in this middle-aged man who would not stand for another round of insults. He didn't care if Wu Tianming was going to protect the young man or not. He was going to kill him. A titled battle pet warrior shall not be insulted. Wu Tianming was struck dumb with astonishment. He had never imagined that the seemingly quiet young man would be capable of such an arrogant talk. Not even Wu Tianming was able to find a reason to defend Su Ping. After all, Su Ping was insulting and humiliating a titled battle pet warrior. Being of such a rank himself, Wu Tianming would practically admit he wasn't going to treat those at the titled rank seriously if he took Su Ping's side again. "Are you ready?" Su Ping asked again, calmly. Out of extreme anger, the skinny middle-aged man almost burst into laughter. A glint of coldness rose in his eyes as he answered, "Come on and show me what you can do. Do not say that I'm treating you unfairly. If you can land a hit on me, I'll forgive you." "Sure." Astral powers surged inside Su Ping. "Finish him." The astral powers he mobilized were merely at the 7th rank. Even so, those around him were still shocked. They didn't know that the young man was already an advanced battle pet warrior. That fact alone had demonstrated that the young man was a talent. However, this talent was too arrogant. Whoosh! Su Ping made a sudden move. He jumped up from the back of the lion eagle and flew toward the skinny middle-aged man across the sky. Flying? The onlookers could hardly believe this. The skinny middle-aged man stared at Su Ping, completely transfixed. The young man was at the titled rank. The next second, the skinny middle-aged man had sensed some killing intent going straight towards him. The skinny middle-aged man came back to his senses. Still shocked, he was not in the mood to think about an answer. He couldn't afford to be careless. He hurried to mobilize his astral powers and set up many astral power shields. If it weren't for the fact that Su Ping had acted too abruptly, the skinny middle-aged man would have summoned his battle pets. When Su Ping was about 10 meters away from his target, he brought up his fist. He punched at the skinny middle-aged man across a distance. Bang! Even the air exploded due to the might of that punch. Nothing in the air could stop Su Ping. The arched airstream pressed on. Bang! 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 The many astral power shields that the skinny middle-aged man had set up were cracked. Shields brought up by titled battle pet warriors were supposed to be strong enough to fend off attacks from the average 9th rank beasts, and yet, Su Ping's punch was so destructive that all the shields exploded easily. The fist's shadow pressed further and landed on the skinny middle-aged man. "No!" The skinny middle-aged man shouted in fear inside. A layer of golden hue emerged over his clothes. The golden hue turned into a shield, which was a treasured artifact he had. The shield floated above his head, glistening. Boom! The fist landed on the shield. As the golden light disappeared, a cracking sound was heard. At the same time, the skinny middle-aged man's clothes fell apart and many pieces of metal flew randomly. The treasured artifact had been ripped apart. No more treasured artifacts could protect the skinny middle-aged man from the punch. PFF. Blood spurted out. The skinny middle-aged man couldn't move one bit as he stared at the fist that was going to land on him. His head was cracked and his upper body exploded, merely leaving a pair of legs that fell to the ground. A hush fell. All the onlookers were rooted to the spot. A titled battle pet warrior was killed by Su Ping with one punch. Even his body was blasted into pieces. Who is this young man? Wu Tianming stared at the legs and the bloodstains on the ground, feeling he had lost the ability to think. He and the skinny middle-aged man had been at loggerheads for years, and he was well aware of his rival's strength. The skinny middle-aged man was at the lower tier of the titled rank, but he had been a titled battle pet warrior for years. The treasured artifact that the skinny middle-aged was wearing was quite a tricky item. Wu Tianming was unable to believe that his old-time enemy could be killed by Su Ping with a single punch in public. Like Su Ping had mentioned, one punch and everything would have been water under the bridge. Of course it would be, after the man died. In the air, Su Ping had hovered back to the lion eagle's seats. He indifferently glanced at the remains on the ground. He felt neither regret nor sadness. The skinny middle-aged had secretly provoked the lion eagle. A furious lion eagle could have bitten anyone else to death. Naturally, Su Ping would not show mercy when the skinny middle-aged man had been the first one who tried to kill him. Su Ping did show some mercy, after all. He didn't use the fist of exorcist. Otherwise, even the two legs would have been obliterated. "Let's go," said Su Ping to the man sitting at the neck of the lion eagle and sat down on the empty seat. The middle-aged rider was an 8th-rank master battle pet warrior, but he had been struck dumb. How could Su Ping talk as if nothing had happened? The man trembled. Su Ping had killed a titled battle pet warrior with one punch, and yet he was able to act so casually. Who is this young man? Who told you you can leave? A person standing on the ground shouted furiously. The young man had killed a man in public. What made him think he could leave without shouldering any consequences? Su Ping looked at the man who was also at the titled rank. He was the one standing next to the skinny middle-aged man, so he was probably the latter's colleague or friend. Do you want to take a punch as well? Su Ping asked the man. The man's anger receded. He no longer dared to utter another word. He and the skinny middle-aged man were equal in strength. Since the latter was unable to survive the punch, he would not fare any better. However, what should he tell their superiors if they were to let Su Ping leave like this? Since no one said anything else, Su Ping turned to the master of the Lion Eagle. Let's go. The man was in a pickle. Since the titled battle pet warriors standing on the ground had been scared silent, he knew it was not his place to say anything, either. Saving his life was the most important thing at the moment. In some way, he was being threatened. He could find an excuse for himself when the higher-ups tried to pin blame on him. After thinking it through, the man patted the scared lion eagle and ordered it to take flight. The purple cloud lion eagle stood up, trembling, and nervously flapped its wings. The lion eagle exerted a great effort just to leave the ground, as if it were shouldering a mountain on its back. Su Ping left. The ones standing on the ground were unable to utter a single word for a long time. The young man was definitely stronger than any average titled battle pet warrior. He could deal with them so easily. It was likely that he was an old man at the peak of the titled rank but had used some medicine to keep his youthful looks. Wu Tianming came back to his senses. All of a sudden, he remembered when he first met Su Ping, when he said he had taken care of the poison claw dragon. Back then, Wu Tianming thought the young man meant the beast had run away. He finally understood that the young man was telling him the beast had been killed. Wu Tianming shuddered with fear. A person at the peak of the titled rank had just been with him and he didn't realize it. Fortunately, he didn't upset that freak. Otherwise, it would have been his legs on the ground. Wu Tianming darted a look at the remains and inwardly heaved a sigh. How unlucky his old rival was. He had deliberately created trouble for Su Ping, unknowingly upsetting the wrong guy. After the lion eagle disappeared into the sky, finally someone could move about. A titled battle pet warrior shouted at once, "Who is that man? Go and find his information. Find out which base city he is from. Shui Yong is dead. We must report this incident to our headquarters." He killed Shui Yong with one punch. That is what the old freaks at the peak of the titled rank are like, right? So frightening. In the air. On the lion eagle's back, Su Ping sat there, quietly, while the other 4 people were terrified, on pins and needles. They felt quite uneasy to be sitting next to a freak who had just murdered a titled battle pet warrior. They were afraid that they might upset this powerful warrior unwittingly. The trip was quiet. There was no sound, other than the sound of the wind, or when someone was gulping. Su Ping didn't waste time explaining. He just kept his eyes closed and rested. He was flying above a great wilderness. Now and then, he could see some beasts fighting over territories on the ground. But the region offered a nice view. In this suffocating silence, the master of the Lion Eagle finally worked up the courage and asked, "Sir, which base city are you going to?" He was afraid he might miss Su Ping's destination if he delayed the question any longer. "Holy Light," Su Ping answered. The Lion Eagle's master was relieved. He immediately changed the route and directly headed toward the Holy Light base city. As for the other people, they could wait. Without taking any detours, Su Ping had arrived at the Holy Light base city in merely 8 hours. If it weren't for the fact that they had to pay some toll fees when they flew past the territorial airspace of some base cities, the journey would have taken even less time. The Lion Eagles would fly from one station to another and the stations were the base cities. There would only be a few beasts in the territorial airspace around each base city. If they flew to the completely wild regions, they would eventually run into some flocks of flying beasts. "Sir, take care," said the master of the Lion Eagle to Su Ping, on a mountain outside the wall of the Holy Light base city. The mountain had a flat platform by the hillside, as if someone had sliced the top off. That flat area had been turned into a grand plaza. The purple cloud Lion Eagle landed on one of the plaza's open areas. There were other dragons or eagles in other nearby squares. Su Ping hopped off from the Lion Eagle. The other 4 passengers, as well as the master of the Lion Eagle, were more than glad to see Su Ping was leaving. They smiled and said their goodbyes to Su Ping. After Su Ping jumped to the ground, someone came over from a distance. The man was wearing a white uniform. "Sir, welcome. This way, please. We offer many modes of transportation, including private cars." "Do private cars travel fast?" "Yes." "A private car, then." Soon, the man showed Su Ping to the foot of the mountain. Many luxurious cars were parked there and the passengers could get directly into the city, which was a concierge service of sorts. Su Ping chose one and paid the bill, which was 10,000 astral coins. Luckily, he didn't lack money. Besides, he didn't want to have too many astral coins that couldn't be converted into energy points. If he did need more money, he could sell some treasured artifacts and he could make hundreds of millions easily. Chapter 437, Trainers Assembly. An hour later, Su Ping arrived at the residential district of the Holy Light base city. This base city was 3 times larger than the average base cities. The outside walls were as high as 1,000 meters and were able to protect the inhabitants against most 9th-rank beasts. Even a beast king would have a hard time trying to break in. There were residential districts, administrative districts, and the Holy Light district in the base city. Of all the districts, the Holy Light district was at the core of the base city. That was where the Trainer Association's headquarters was found. The residential district was in the outermost region. Since Su Ping was not a local, the driver could only drive him to the residential district. Su Ping got out of the car and looked around. Even though the residential district was closer to the base city's border, the buildings were quite magnificent. High buildings and large mansions were built everywhere. Some of the buildings were unique. Several buildings were decorated with paintings of battle pets on the outside. Some of the buildings were even built into the shape of a battle pet, for example, a dragon lying on the ground. Many pedestrians on the road were accompanied by some adorable and small pets. Su Ping could also see many different battle pet images painted on the street, including battle pets of the demon family or the element family. The entire city was a world of astral pets. Su Ping had the belief that the environment was very important in nurturing one's interest. No wonder the city could see the birth of several master battle pet warriors every year. It was understandable. "Hurry! I heard that the trainers' competition has already started. Hurry up!" Several boys and girls ran past Su Ping. Su Ping didn't understand. Trainers' competition? What would the trainers compete in? Su Ping's impression about trainers was that they all had to train pets for some time before the effects could be presented, maybe a couple of days or even months. How boring would the competition be? Propelled by curiosity, Su Ping went after the boys and girls. Soon, Su Ping arrived at a medium-sized stadium. The boys and girls had already gone inside. Su Ping was ready to go in. "Sir, please show us your invitation or your trainer ID." The 2 guards at the door stopped Su Ping. Su Ping suddenly remembered that the boys and girls presented something to the guards. "Well, I don't have them," Su Ping answered. The guards were surprised. One of them said, "Not even trainer ID? Even an ID of the elementary level will be fine." Su Ping had never gone to the Trainer Association of the Longjiang base city and had never gotten himself such an ID. His mom had one. She was the one who had been running the store before and was a professional trainer after all, although not of a high level. "I have never applied for it. Can I buy a ticket?" Su Ping asked. The 2 guards shook their heads. No. ID only. You can go and get one, then you can come back. It never occurred to Su Ping that money could be of no use here. Having no other choice, Su Ping turned around and was ready to leave. Do you want to go and watch the match? I can take you inside. He heard a pleasant voice. Two girls were approaching him. They were both in their 20s. One of the girls was wearing a ponytail, jeans, and a white t-shirt while the other was wearing her hair down and something more stylish, a purple dress and high heels. Rong Rong, what are you doing? We don't know him. The second girl tried to stop her friend. It's okay. He wants to go and I have an extra ticket. We can take him with us. The girl with the ponytail smiled a sweet smile. The girl in the purple dress darted her friend an annoyed look and then looked at Su Ping, only to see that he looked quite nice, handsome, and full of vigor. Suddenly, the girl in the purple dress no longer had a problem with her friend's decision. Thank you so much, Su Ping thanked the kind girls. Hu Rongrong smiled. She took out her pocket purse from her jeans and grabbed an ID that was the size of a banking card. Can I take him in with me? She asked the guard. The guard stared at the ID and looked at the girl. Miss, you're a trainer at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. Of course you can take him with you. Su Ping was surprised that the girl who seemed to be his age was a seasoned trainer. Those at the higher ranks were advanced trainers. Like battle pet warriors, trainers had 9 different ranks. The process for trainers was even harder than that for battle pet warriors. Theoretically speaking, at the same rank, trainers would be more valued than battle pet warriors. This way, please. The guard stepped to the sides and invited them in respectfully. Hu Rongrong retrieved her ID and put her purse back into her pocket. I see that you're from another base city. Am I right? Su Ping nodded. Yes. I just arrived at the Holy Light base city today. Are you here for the trainers' assembly? The girl in the purple dress sized up Su Ping with interest. Trainers' assembly? Su Ping repeated those words. You don't know it? Both girls were stunned. Why hadn't Su Ping heard the name of such a grand event? Su Ping realized that he might have asked the wrong question. I'm here on business. I heard there is a match going on and wanted to drop in and have a look. Well, the girl in the purple dress nodded. This is a competition for trainers. Are you a trainer as well? If you're not, you may not be able to understand the match. I am, kind of. Kind of. The two girls were even more confused. Which rank are you at? Why did you come without your ID? Did you lose it? Asked the girl in the purple dress. I've been too busy to apply for the ID. Su Ping did not know what to say. I think I'm an elementary trainer. He had never been to the Trainers Association to take the test. He thought he was at the elementary level according to the system's assessment. So, the elementary level. The girl in the purple dress darted another look at Su Ping, clearly less interested in him. She even said less to him. On the other hand, Hu Rongrong was comforting. You are still very young. Being at the elementary level is good enough. Su Ping was speechless. It was the first time that someone would speak to him as if he were the junior of the group. The girl wasn't old, but her words were mature. Su Ping replied with a smile. The three of them went inside. Su Ping found out the girls' names through their conversation. The girl wearing the ponytail was Hu Rongrong and the other one in the purple dress was Kong Lingling. They were both trainers and students of a famous academy. Su Ping asked about the Trainers' Assembly. The Holy Light Base City was hosting the Trainers' Assembly, which occurred every 3 years. This event was like the Elite League for Battle Pet Warriors, a grand event. Trainers from all the other base cities would gather in the Holy Light Base City. They would compete against each other to win the championship. The winner would have the chance to join the headquarters of the Trainers Association. The Trainers' Assembly was still at the preliminary stage and the official games had yet to begin. The matches in this stadium were autonomously held. There were a lot of grassroots matches like this in the Holy Light Base City, which was one of the base city's features. The three of them stepped into the corridor. Soon after, Su Ping began to hear some loud cheers and shouts. At the end of the corridor was a stage with seats around it. There had to be more than 1,000 people there already. On the stage, there were 2 people with battle pets, kind of how the Elite League looked. The difference was that the stage was intact. The 2 didn't look at each other, they focused on the battle pets in front of them. "We need to find a better spot," Kong Lingling said as she looked around. To her delight, she noticed something all of a sudden. She said to Hu Rongrong at once. "Rongrong, see, Senior Xiao is there. Let's go." Hu Rongrong was hesitating when Kong Lingling had already grabbed her hand, dragging her away. Chapter 438, A Slap in the Face. 3 young men were watching the match while seated in an area with a wide view. One of the young men with a brush cut clapped his hands suddenly and shouted in excitement, "It's getting down. Brother Xiao, I think Feng Yiliang is gonna win." Sitting next to him was a good-looking young man wearing a blue shirt and a designer's watch. Putting on a faint smile, the young man said, "Feng's taming skill is at the 6th rank and is one of the top 5 students in our year. Taming this 5th-rank short-winged tiger that is not particularly violent shouldn't take him more than 10 minutes. The young man with the brush cut forced a smile. "Brother Xiao, don't make a judgment according to your crazy standards. This short-winged tiger is not violent. Remember never to say this back in school. The other students would be pissed. I don't think a 5th-rank taming skill could have contained the tiger. I might fail if I were up there on the stage." The blue-shirted young man shook his head. Right then, he heard a pleasant voice. "Senior Xiao." The 3 boys turned around and the sight of 2 pretty girls landed in their eyes. Xiao Fengshu remained surprised for 1 second before he recognized them. "Kong Lingling and Hu Rongrong from grade 2. "Yes." Kong Lingling was happy since Xiao Fengshu knew her name. He was the star student in the academy. It was a surprise that he would remember them. "Nice to meet you," Hu Rongrong greeted him with respect. "Very happy to see you 2 here. Welcome." The young man in the brush cut and the other smaller young man came back to their senses. They gladly invited the girls to take a seat. The 3 young men then noticed Su Ping, who was standing behind the 2 girls. "And this is your classmate?" Kong Lingling shook her head. "He's not from our academy. Hu Rongrong was kind enough to invite him to join us." The young man with the brush cut asked Hu Rongrong, "Friend of yours?" Before Hu Rongrong could answer, Kong Lingling had beaten her to it. "He's an elementary trainer from another base city, just visiting to broaden his mind. He has no invitation, so Rongrong took him inside with us." The young men understood. They just invited the girls to sit down again without speaking to Su Ping again. Wow! All of a sudden, the crowd cheered. Everyone shifted their focus to the stage. The judge stepped on the stage. He pointed the red flag in his hand to one of the 2 contenders and announced, "Winner, Feng Yiliang." The audience burst into shouts. Kong Lingling asked in surprise, "Is that Senior Feng up there on the stage?" Hu Rongrong didn't seem to expect this, either. She could already see the person standing on the stage. True, it was Feng Yiliang from their academy, not someone that just happened to share the same name. "This is just a game, an interesting game," the young man with the brush cut said. "The trainer's assembly is going to start. He's here to get familiar with the stage and practice." "Senior Xiao, you're not participating?" Kong Lingling asked Xiao Fengshu with ardent admiration in her eyes. Xiao Fengshu smiled. "I haven't gotten the time to sign up yet." The young man with the brush cut laughed. "Kong, that's not a good question. Our brother Xiao would only be bullying others if he took part in the matches." Kong Lingling covered her mouth and giggled. Xiao Fengshu darted a glare at the young man with the brush cut and produced a forced smile. Su Ping found himself a seat. The view was quite good. He could see the entire stage clearly. However, before he could understand what was going on, the competition had ended and one side had won. He was quite confused. Hu Rongrong was sitting nearby. Noticing his confusion, Hu Rongrong whispered, "They are competing in taming skills. The 2 battle pets on the stage are wild and have no contract with anyone yet. Of the two, anyone who can tame the battle pet first, then make the battle pet pick up the meat and keep it in its mouth without spitting out is the winner. Her explanation cleared up Su Ping's confusion. He noticed that there was a piece of fresh meat placed in front of the battle pets. I see, Su Ping said. He had another question, though. Are taming skills a must for trainers? Hu Rongrong strangely eyed him. Of course. Haven't you learned taming skills? Even an elementary trainer should. She did not finish her words, but she had made herself perfectly clear. Su Ping was a bit embarrassed. Indeed, he had not taken any pet trainer lessons. He thought trainers just needed to train pets to have them learn some skill or to make them stronger. Some battle pets are born to be violent, and they will show this side of themselves when they are not controlled by their masters. Without a taming skill, people would need to use some potion to contain the violent side of their battle pets, but the potions have side effects. Therefore, taming skills are necessary and a must for any qualified trainer. Hu Rongrong explained to Su Ping solemnly. Su Ping could tell that she truly attached great importance to battle pets. He nodded at her. Kong Lingling heard the conversation. She thought of something. So, do trainers not have to learn those basic skills in other base cities? I heard that trainers in some base cities tend to go overboard on one or two subjects and cannot be regarded as qualified trainers. Kong Lingling said with contempt. Hu Rongrong frowned. She cast a glance at Su Ping but said nothing. It was usually the case in some base cities with limited resources that trainers could merely learn part of the skill sets. Hu Rongrong was aware of that but didn't approve of such practice. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a person hopped off the stage and landed in front of them. It was a young man who had just won. Rongrong! The young man's eyes glowed the moment he saw Hu Rongrong. He didn't even greet Xiao Fengshu and the others before he dashed to Hu Rongrong's side directly. Why are you here? He asked, full of happiness. Hu Rongrong was not happy to hear this intimate form of address. Senior Feng, I'm here to watch the games, she said with a frown. Is that so? Did you see? I just won. Feng Yiliang grinned from ear to ear. Winning had put him in a good mood already. Seeing the girl that he liked sitting there had made him feel better than ever before. Hu Rongrong produced a forced smile. She moved back a bit as she said, Congratulations, Senior Feng. Feng Yiliang smiled. He turned to Su Ping sitting next to her and asked, Rongrong, is he a friend of yours? Just then, he had seen Hu Rongrong talking to Su Ping from the stage. So, Feng Yiliang was not happy about Su Ping being there. Su Ping noticed the hostility in Feng Yiliang's eyes. He wasn't interested in Hu Rongrong in a romantic way, just grateful. Knowing that Feng Yiliang had his heart on Hu Rongrong, Kong Lingling hurried to explain to her friend, Senior Feng, this is a misunderstanding. We met him by the door and he wanted to watch the games, so Rongrong invited him in. That explains it. Feng Yiliang rolled his eyes at Su Ping. Why are you sitting here if you're a stranger? Piss off. Su Ping was surprised. He squinted his eyes. I'll give you a chance to apologize to me since all of you are fellow students in the same academy. What? Feng Yiliang stood up and looked down at Su Ping. What did you just say? Say that again to me. Hu Rongrong turned pale. What are you doing? He didn't do anything to you, she scolded Feng Yiliang. Xiao Fengshu tried to break up the argument as well. Feng, settle down. The young man with the brush cut and the smaller young man hurried to grab Feng Yiliang's sleeves. The young man with the brush cut waved his other hand to Su Ping. Bro, hurry and go. We cannot stop him for very long. It never occurred to Kong Lingling that they would get into an argument. Go, now. Senior Feng is a 6th-rank trainer. You cannot defeat him, she persuaded Su Ping. Su Ping remained seated but he pulled a long face. Don't blame for what is going to happen next, now that you've lost your chance. With that said, Su Ping stood up. What? Do you think you can fight me? Feng Yiliang couldn't help but sneer. Pa! The sneer stopped. A slap landed on his face. Then, head first and body second, Feng Ilyang fell into the seat by his side. Chapter 439. He who insults others insults himself. Those nearby were taken aback. None of them had anticipated that Su Ping would actually resort to action. Also, Su Ping did it so quickly that none of them saw it coming. Xiao Fengshu's face became clouded. He glared at Su Ping, clearly furious. "What do you think you're doing?" Kong Lingling couldn't help but scream. "I could have done more," Su Ping said, indifferently. Xiao Fengshu kept his eyes on Su Ping as he asked, "Are you an advanced battle pet warrior? Do you know the consequences of attacking a trainer from the Heavenly Dragon Academy in the Holy Light Base City?" Advanced battle pet warrior? Kong Lingling and Hu Rongrong eyed Su Ping with surprise. Su Ping seemed to be young. Was he honestly a battle pet warrior at the 7th rank? Hu Rongrong wore a confused look. Just then, Su Ping was so fast that she didn't even see how he slapped Feng Ilyang. While she was a trainer, she did need astral powers as well, and she was at the 5th rank. She was aware that Xiao Fengshu was at the 6th rank, the most powerful of all students of the 3rd grade in the Heavenly Dragon Academy. Xiao Fengshu must have made the deduction based on his own rank. Good eyes. Su Ping didn't deny it. Ridiculous. The young man with the brush cut was angered by Su Ping's indifference. Say you are an advanced battle pet warrior, so what? Advanced battle pet warriors will have to stand in a line to cozy up to us when they want some help from us. Now, kneel and apologize and we can move past this. Otherwise, you shall not see the outside world again. So what? Su Ping squinted his eyes. Trainers merely serve battle pet warriors. Without battle pet warriors, what can you trainers do? Do people rely on trainers when beasts invade our cities? If I wanted to take your life right this moment, do you think you could manage to stay alive? The young man with the brush cut bellowed, "How dare you?" "I do dare." A glint of coldness rose in Su Ping's eyes. He took a step forward. Xiao Fengxiao was startled. How reckless this young man was. He wasn't bluffing. A trainer who fought any battle pet warrior was like an egg striking a rock, not to mention fighting advanced battle pet warriors. Not even Xiao Fengshu could have defeated the young man. Bro, cool down. A wise man knows when to retreat. Xiao Fengshu adopted a softer tone immediately. In the meantime, he stepped forward and unleashed his astral powers to build up many shields. Bang, 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 bang. Su Ping raised one hand to slap the young man with the brush cut. His hand landed on the diamond-shaped shields. The cracking sound lingered. Those shields were sturdy and yet none of them were able to slow Su Ping down, not for even one bit. Xiao Fengshu was dumbstruck. He could build astral shields that could withstand attacks from the common 7th-rank beasts, thanks to his secret skill. But Su Ping had cracked all of them within one instant. Whoosh! A jade pendant flew out from Xiao Fengshu's collar. As it gave out a gentle, green glow, the jade pendant turned into a round shield. Bang! As soon as the round shield had taken shape, Su Ping's hand had landed upon it. The shield broke. As such, the jade pendant fell to the ground, cracked. Although the green shield had been broken, Su Ping did feel his hand bounce back a bit. He raised his eyebrows. How interesting. Xiao Fengshu had such a treasure, one that could withstand his slap. This. Xiao Fengshu turned pale in fright. He could not utter another word as he stared at the crack on the jade pendant. That artifact strong enough to protect him against an attack from an average 8th-rank master battle pet warrior. However, Su Ping had broken it. He broke it with such ease. Was this young man a master battle pet warrior? The young man with the brush cut who was standing behind Xiao Fengshu was greatly frightened. For the first time, he had understood the actual strength of advanced battle pet warriors. In all of his life, it had always been the advanced battle pet warriors who went to his door to butter him up. He had never taken battle pet warriors seriously. Still, what happened just then had stunned him. If Su Ping had honestly meant to kill him, there was no way that he could have survived. He had always been told that trainers were valuable. Yet, at this critical moment, He knew that battle pet warriors were more dominating. This dude is crazy. The young man with the brush cut was frustrated, but he was afraid to flaunt his superiority again. Hey, listen, man, this is all a big misunderstanding. We can talk it out, Xiao Fengshu said to Su Ping in a hurry. Even though Xiao Fengshu was an arrogant man, he was afraid to deal with such a ruthless character. None of them had left their homes with bodyguards or any other kind of security. If Su Ping were to kill them right there and then, he would be punished, but that would not bring their lives back. No one wanted to get involved with this lunatic. The two girls were freaked out. They thought Su Ping was a gentle and mild man. Neither of them had expected that Su Ping would become so ferocious and scary all of a sudden. Misunderstanding? How so? Su Ping eyed Xiao Fengshu with a spurious smile. Xiao Fengshu looked awful. I'm Xiao Fengshu. I will apologize on behalf of my friend. Why are you apologizing? My friend has made a mistake. He offended you. Xiao Fengshu could tell that Su Ping meant to humiliate him, but he still had to go on. Oh, so he was wrong. I thought I was wrong. Su Ping acted as if he had finally understood Xiao Fengshu's words when his reply was laced with irony. Both Xiao Fengshu and the young man with the brush cut pulled a long face at Su Ping's sarcastic words, and yet both of them knew that it was Feng Yiliang who had started it all. They could usually shout at anyone they wanted, and those who offended them would have to admit defeat to protect themselves. However, this day, they had met a tough man. Now that you know you're wrong, get down on your knees and say you're sorry, Su Ping said, smilingly. His words shocked everyone. The young man with the brush cut looked up at Su Ping. He was the one who had said those words to Su Ping, but then the latter had thrown those words back at him. Xiao Fengshu looked pale. Dude, I've already said I'm sorry. We don't have to go this far over an argument, do we? You must adopt a good attitude when you apologize. How else can I be sure that you're serious? Su Ping put away his smile. Besides, you weren't the one who offended me, so you don't have to apologize. He who said the words should stand up. The most basic thing about being a man is to be a man of his word before he demands the same from others, wouldn't you say? Xiao Fengshu felt embarrassed. Why do you have to be like this? We're the ones who invited you in. Kong Lingling could not help but shout. She couldn't accept to see Xiao Fengshu so insulted. In her mind, Senior Xiao was always elegant and calm. He had never been in such an awkward position. She did, not you. So, you shut up. Su Ping darted a glance at Kong Lingling. Furious, Kong Lingling shook Hu Rongrong's arm. Rongrong, look at him. After some hesitation, Hu Rongrong said to Su Ping, Su, this is just a misunderstanding. Senior Xiao has apologized. How about we let it go? Su Ping gazed at her. I owe you one. Are you sure you want to waste that favor on begging for their sake? Hu Rongrong was relieved to see that Su Ping did seem to have softened his tone. They're all my schoolmates. I hope you won't make it too hard on them. Su Ping looked at her for a while before he nodded. Sure. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Xiao Fengshu felt he could finally breathe. Instantly, a strong surge of killing intent rose inside his heart. He had never been humiliated in public before, not to mention by a battle pet warrior. He was afraid to voice his anger, which he had never experienced before in his life. How insulting! But he didn't show anger on his face, in case he would be humiliated again. Su Ping glared at Xiao Fengshu and the other two standing next to him. Eager to seek revenge, eh? That was well within expectations. However, since he had promised Hu Rongrong to let it go, Su Ping decided not to do anything to them. Those were just some trainers. No matter how strong their hostility was, there was nothing they could do to him. Even at the subcontinent district level, Su Ping was afraid of no one, unless the legendary battle pet warriors made an appearance. However, he could protect himself if it came to pass. The average legendary battle pet warriors at the Ocean State were unlikely to end his life. At the same time, the fallen Feng Yiliang had finally managed to stand up. He shook his head, trying to clear his mind. He had been left dumbstruck by the slap. He looked around before he finally saw the man who had slapped him. His eyes reddened as he shouted, "FCU!" Before he could finish his verbal abuse, a terrified Xiao Fengshu, with sharp eyes and agile hands, covered Feng Yiliang's mouth and dragged him back in case he would anger Su Ping again. The young man with the brush cut and the short young man also hurried to restrain Feng Yiliang. Both of them had previously tried to talk Su Ping into leaving, but they just wanted to send Feng Yiliang away at the moment, in case he would enrage Su Ping again. Su Ping darted a look at the stage. He wondered if it was an intermission or the match had already ended. Either way, no one had stepped up to the stage again. He lost interest. Without saying another word, he turned around and left the stadium. Finally, Xiao Fengshu was able to relax his body. "Oh, to hell with him!" The young man with the brush cut kicked the chair next to him. Xiao Fengshu kept a calm look, but the anger in his eyes was obvious. Feng Yiliang was surprised by the young man with the brush cut and his sudden outburst of anger. What happened? After breaking more chairs, the young man with the brush cut finally yelled, "That punk is an advanced battle pet warrior." Damn it! So what? All advanced battle pet warriors have to beg me as if they were dogs. But he just threatened me. SHT. I'm going to kill him. Advanced battle pet warrior. Feng Yiliang couldn't believe this. He looked around and saw the looks on the others' faces. True, they did not think highly of battle pet warriors, but they all had to admit that battle pet warriors could easily defeat them. Still, it was unusual for one of them to offend him like this. It was as if a millionaire were afraid to retaliate against a thug who had beaten him up. How humiliating that was. Call someone. We cannot let him go like this. Feng Yiliang bellowed. The slap was quite forceful, his cheek was still burning up at the moment. Kong Lingling and Hu Rongrong looked at each other, both startled by the boy's reactions. Kong Lingling didn't say anything. She wasn't happy about Su Ping, either. He had made it clear that he had never paid attention to her. But Hu Rongrong was worried. That was a nice day and it had been messed up just because Feng Yiliang was unable to control his mouth. She would have felt sorry if something had happened to Su Ping. She wouldn't have taken Su Ping in if she had known what was going to happen. At this thought, Hu Rongrong gave Feng Yiliang another look. His bellow had made him look even more repulsive. At the end of the day, without him, nothing would have happened. Senior Xiao, we have other things to do. See you. Hu Rongrong was not in the mood to stay for the rest of the competition. Xiao Fengshu nodded to her. Kong Lingling wanted to stay a bit longer, but had to leave with Hu Rongrong since she was adamant about it. A while later, the former began to vent her anger. Rongrong. Feng Yiliang wanted to talk Hu Rongrong into staying, but she turned her back at him. The young man with the brush cut said to Feng Yiliang rudely, "Quit it," with the sweet tone. "She didn't want to talk to you, weren't you paying attention?" If it hadn't been for Feng Yiliang, none of them would have been humiliated. Given the outcome, the young man with the brush cut was angry at Feng Yiliang. Feng Yiliang glared at the young man. "That's none of your business. She won't talk to me? She will be mine sooner or later." Xiao Fengshu frowned. Hu Rongrong's grandpa is in the Trainers Association. You'd better be careful. Not even your Feng family can afford to offend him. Feng Yiliang was unhappy to hear that, but he didn't talk back. "I understand, boss." He nodded. "Let's go. I'm going to the Transportation Bureau to find out where that punk went off to." Xiao Fengshu walked away and called someone. Su Ping walked down the street for a bit. The unique buildings were a constant reminder that he was away from home. Soon, Su Ping hailed a cab and told the driver to get to the head office of the Trainers Association. Chapter 440, Failed. The Trainers Association was headquartered in the Holy Light District. That was the most prosperous district of all, where an inch of land was valued in gold. The residents of the Holy Light District were all prominent officials and eminent notables with money or influence. Along the way, Su Ping saw many luxury cars parked by the roadside. Some people were dressed up quite sharply, and the astral pets that they had were all the rare ones that could be worth millions. The car ride took him about an hour and a half. Finally, Su Ping arrived at the gate of the Trainers Association's headquarters. He got out of the car, surprised by the hustle and bustle outside the gate. Many people were lining up, waiting to get inside. In front of the crowd was a gate full of power and grandeur with a height of dozens of meters. The words Trainers Association Headquarters were written above the gate. The columns on each side were carved with hundreds of astral pets. The carvings were quite vivid. People would feel that the astral pets were gazing back at them. But the thing that got Su Ping's attention was a stone tiger bristling up in anger. The stone tiger that was sitting by the gate had dark fur that was more like a burning flame. Its eyes were brimming with radiating vigor. Though this was merely a stone sculpture, the tiger was as natural as though it were living. There was a strange feeling about that stone tiger that made Su Ping raise his eyebrows. That tiger was like a beast king. Su Ping browsed through his memory but failed to remember which beast king it was. And yet, since he had seen tens of thousands of beast kings, he could tell that the stone sculpture was that of a beast king for sure, given the overwhelming sense it radiated. Su Ping soon looked away. There was no need to make such a big fuss about it, even if this were a real beast king. Su Ping stepped closer to where the crowd was and picked out a line to be in. Those must be the columns of beasts. How impressive! Look, that is the silver moon hound. I have that as my pet. Ying, your silver moon hound is a rare advanced pet. Of course you would find its image on the columns. In the line by Su Ping's side, there was a group of young people made of 3 boys and 2 girls. They seemed to be from the same base city. They were talking excitedly at that moment. Those astral pets are so lifelike. I can almost feel they are breathing. No wonder this is the headquarters of the Trainers Association. The building is even more majestic than our government building. All of us must pass the test this time, so we can all return with victory. The young people were excited. One of them, who appeared to be in his late 20s, said with a smile, "Ying, I wish you good luck. You will have quite a promising future ahead of you if you can pass the test to reach the 6th rank. Maybe the Trainers Association will take a liking to you. You'll be able to apply to stay here at the headquarters. Given your talent, it won't be a problem for you to grow to be a master trainer." "True. Ying, we're all counting on riding your coattails." The others chimed in happily, and they were all gazing at the girl with admiration. The other people standing in line couldn't help but turn around to look at the girl. Much to their surprise, they found the girl named Ying was barely 20. Would she be able to reach the 6th rank? If she managed to do so, she could be regarded as a young genius even at the Holy Light Base City. The girl named Ying had skin akin to porcelain. She blushed as she felt the gazes darted at her. She lowered her head and protested a bit. "Brother Lin, you flatter me. I'm not so sure that I can pass the test." That young man comforted the shy girl. "You're too humble. If I were you, I would have told everyone about my abilities. Look around you. Those people are all my age. People your age don't even dare to come to the headquarters of the Trainers Association. I hear that there are more people for the test of the 7th or 8th ranks than for the 2nd or 3rd ranks." Ying raised her head and took a look around. Su Ping was the only one whom she saw of her age range. Blushing again, she looked away. The young man noticed her reaction as well. He realized he had just misspoken. "Hey, dude, which ranking test are you here for?" the young man asked Su Ping. Su Ping had heard the conversation, which he found boring and childish. He darted the young man a look but didn't say anything. The young man was unhappy after being ignored. "I just asked you a question. Didn't you hear me?" The young man's friends hurried to stop the young man, who was about to lose his temper. After all, this was the Holy Light Base City and they were outside the headquarters of the Trainers Association. That was not the place for them to make a big fuss. The young man was mad since Su Ping had yet to say a thing in reply. After some thought, the young man did swallow down his fury. "What a brat! What are you even here for?" The young man snorted. Lin, let it go. Listen, we cannot alert the guards. We would only get in trouble. The others placed themselves between the young man and Su Ping, then tried to calm the young man down lest the two would break into an argument. A dozen minutes later, it was Su Ping's turn. Are you here for the certificate? Which rank? The guards asked as a routine and were about to write down Su Ping's answer. Su Ping shook his head. I'm here for the conference, but I lost my invitation on my way. The conference? The guard was taken aback. That Brother Lin and his friends were moving up the line as well. All of them were staring at Su Ping in a daze. He was here for the conference? The guard raised his head. He was about to put on a look of respect when he saw how young Su Ping was. His raised lips were curled down again. Grumpily, the guard said, We do have a conference ongoing, but that is for master trainers. The attendees are all 8th rank master trainers. Kid, that is not the conference you meant, right? That is the one. Su Ping nodded. Well, the Trainers Association sure valued him. They invited him to the Master Trainers Conference directly. The guard didn't know what to say. Brother Lin and his friends breathed in relief, and they were all eyeing Su Ping as if he were a lunatic. Are you here for the conference by yourself, or are you here to accompany the seniors in your family? The guard asked with a frown. Myself. Yourself. The guard had lost all patience. Pulling a long face, he scolded Su Ping. Do you even know what you are talking about? We do not allow people to make jokes like this. You'd better leave right away. Brother Lin couldn't help but sneer. Going there to show off was a suicidal mission. Su Ping frowned. But he could only blame himself, for he was the one who had burned off the invitation. If he had known, he would not have done it so impulsively. He thought of a solution. I lost my invitation, but you must have my name on the record. You can go and verify that. The guard didn't anticipate that Su Ping would not let it go. Angrily, the guard said, You mentioned you're here for the Master Trainers Conference. Do you have a Master Trainer ID? Su Ping answered at once, No, because I never passed the test. But if you go and verify the name list, you will find the name. Who gave you the right to come if you haven't passed the test? The guard retorted. Su Ping understood that he had phrased his reply poorly. He explained in a hurry, I meant I did not take the test, not that I failed the test. The guard blinked in confusion. His face clouded as he said, I am not in the mood to get into this word game with you. I can hear from your accent that you're not from the Holy Light Base City, right? What? Su Ping raised his eyebrows. What does that have to do with which base city I am from? Everything. The guard snorted. We did have master trainers your age in the Holy Light Base City, but never in other base cities. You do not have the ID, nor the invitation. You are making a scene here. I would imprison you directly, but since you're still young, I would rather not ruin your life. You'll be added to the blacklist of our Trainers Association if you continue with this mess. You will lose your future. Su Ping was speechless. Go and verify. You will see my name. You are not quitting, here? The guard was foaming at his mouth. What is the matter? Right then, a voice came from nearby. 3 people stepped over, 2 men and 1 lady. The voice belonged to a middle-aged man. Standing by him were a young man and a young lady in their 20s. Go and get ready. You have to learn more about this conference, the middle-aged man said to the young man and the young lady. Yes, sir. They nodded with respect. They were glad to be able to participate in the Master Trainers Conference, which would be immensely beneficial for them. Off go you. The middle-aged man walked to the gate. So did the young man and the young lady. Both of them cast a glance at the people in the line. What is the noise about? The middle-aged man frowned. The guard was startled to see the middle-aged man. He bowed, together with the other guards. Master Trainer Sir. Master Trainer? The onlookers waiting in line were surprised to find that the middle-aged man was a master trainer. Brother Lin and the others quickly stood up straighter. The middle-aged man waved his hand. There are so many people in the line. Hurry up. Do not waste their time. The guard who was talking to Su Ping felt his heart had skipped a beat. He cursed inwardly at Su Ping, while he forced a smile on the outside. Master Shi, it's not that I am not doing my job. This young man here is creating trouble. He said he is here for the Master Trainers Conference and that he has an invitation. I asked, but he said he didn't pass the test. The guard wanted to complain. The middle-aged man eyed Su Ping in astonishment. He saw how young Su Ping was. Kid, this is not a place to fool around. Do not destroy your life because of this. The middle-aged man frowned. I'm not here to create trouble. I did have an invitation. You can go and check it. My name is Su Ping. Su Ping had to repeat his explanation. The middle-aged man frowned. He was about to persuade Su Ping when he found the name familiar. In the past few days, the vice-chairman had been talking about this unique trainer in some base city, and that guy seemed to go by the name of Su Ping as well. The middle-aged man sized Su Ping up and down. Was the trainer this guy? So young? Or, did this young man just happen to have the same name? Are you sure? Shi Haoqi asked again. Su Ping nodded forcefully. Okay. You can come in with me, Shi Haoqi said solemnly, but you'd better think about the consequences if we find you're lying.